Welcome in. Week 7 is here. It's the halfway point of the regular season. We're going to be able to crown a mid-season champion to get that $50 after this week. But with 6 weeks in the books, let's take a look at how week 6 went, as well as the high score and low score of the week.
Brody and Jake tag-teamed Trent to get their first game of the week win in the TFFL, 136.1 to 120.38. They had Allen, Swift, Debo, Kimmett, and Brown combine for over 114 points. Talk about a monster day. Trent did not have a bad score for the week by any means. Killer Queen just had a better one. Very unfortunate for Trent. The final undefeated fell as Dan took down Craig 133.72 to 119.22 behind big days from his quarterbacks Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield. Could this begin Craig's downfall, or is this just a slight bump in the road? Jared got a big win over Josh, 127 to 85.12, despite Dak putting up a measly 3 points. The win puts Jared just one game back from the division lead, while the loss causes Josh to fall 2 games back in the Avengers division. Hayden had the lead on Jordan going into Monday night, while Jordan had James Cook remaining. News broke shortly before kickoff that Cook would not be playing, but Jordan did not miss a beat with putting Ray Davis in Cook's place and locking up a big dub over Hayden. Tamara scored a monstrous 150.56 points to top Travis by 1.36 points in a nail-biter. We've seen Tamara's team really tap their potential in several matchups this year. Could this be her year? And in our final game, EJ got his first ever win over Tyler, 134.44 to 83.8. Barkley had an off day for EJ, but Derrick Henry definitely made up for it. With rumblings that the Panthers could turn back to Bryce Young at some point this season, would that spell trouble for the caveman? Tamara gets her first high score of the week in 2024, as all but one player in her lineup scored double-digit points. The play of Tyrone Tracy Jr. was a savvy move by the untapped potential owner, as he carried the load well in the absence of Devin Singletary.
God knows I don't need a rest from looking at him. He's useless.
All right. For the third time in 6 weeks, our low scorer of the week is none other than Tyler, who put up a sorry total of 83.8 points. Last year's second-place finisher is showing that his team this year absolutely sucks. Time is running short for him to make a turnaround. Could we see another trade in hopes of acquiring a player who would be a good keeper for 2025 soon?
Joining me now, coming off their Game of the Week victory, their first Game of the Week victory in the TFFL, the co-owners of Killer Queen, Brody Yost and Jake Betker. Guys, how you doing today?
Going great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Always. So it's your first year in the TFFL. I want to start off, what are some noticeable differences in people's draft strategy compared to standard leagues? And for the ones that you did notice that strategy, how do you think it's working for them so far?
Well, I've found that Dan and Craig's fuck-ups at the draft have worked out beautifully for them. I mean, they seem to be rewarded for every time they got fined.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. Brody, what have you noticed?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, every time I look at Dan's team, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't know how this guy doesn't go 0-14, but you guys said it. You said every year he has these crazy drafts, and then he just has a miraculous season. So you can't argue with the strategy, I guess. I don't know what the strategy is, but
paying your dues to society.
Yeah, just the more money you throw in the pot, the more success you have, I guess. So there's that.
Jared may have an argument for that one. But looking at your roster, you guys did have a pretty decent draft. You guys have made some changes along the way that you have felt necessary, and some have paid off, some are kind of hurting. But what has been the biggest win for your roster so far this year?
Probably Swift, right?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because he was off to a pretty slow start, but we got him late, and in the last few weeks, 20 points in the last 3 weeks up to the bye has been a solid late round pick. So it's definitely a big win.
But you're
I
not
enjoyed
gonna,
our time with Ray McLeod while we had him.
you're
It's good
not
fun.
gonna have your boy Swift this week though, as you guys take on Brody's arch nemesis Hayden. With all your Chicago Bears on a bye this week, that could hurt you. But
Yeah.
what has been the biggest disappointment on your team so far? And I think I know where you guys are going to go with this.
Well,
Probably Swift.
first thing, probably Swift. Yeah, first thing came about Swift. First couple, he was all we talked about first 2 weeks. Like, this guy is useless, and I know you're not a Caleb guy, but I was out on him after week 1, and now they've turned it around a little, but it's Andrews. It's definitely Andrews.
Yeah.
Or Tua. I mean, just like anyone who's been injured.
Now, looking at maybe the reality versus the expectation of the league, kind of what you guys were envisioning before the draft and when you guys first joined, and kind of seeing what's happening, how the league's going, both good and bad. How do you guys feel about it all right now?
I mean, I think it's going well. It's a competitive league. Like, there's people moving on the waiver wire. There's trades almost every week. And we're getting our asses kicked. So, it sucks, but it's a good feeling, to have a challenge. Because I've done many, many leagues with just some jackasses who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, I feel like every week there's no clear winner. I mean, like you can look at guys like Craig, who was undefeated up until last week when Dan took him out, and I mean every week I feel like every matchup there's no clear cut. Yeah, this guy's just going to win this week. So every single matchup is competitive. It usually comes down to Monday night or the Sunday night games. So it's definitely a very competitive league. I love it.
Now, you guys actually are the second duo to co-own a team in league history. The very first year of the league, my brother rode my coattails and wanted to co-own a team there. But from your two's experience, what are the biggest difficulties co-owning a team?
Man, the countless hours we spend on the phone every day thinking about the most useless waiver wire moves or the most obscure trades.
Yeah, I mean, it's really it's that you got two brains. The saying is two minds are better than one, but I don't know. In 8th grade, I won the doubles pickleball tournament by myself, so I feel like I typically operate better as a solo, but I've had fun conversating about what to do. The tricky part is that I'm in another league with this guy separately, so I can't always tip all my cards.
Oh, man, that's got to be rough. Now, obviously, anybody that co-owns a team will tell you there's going to be disagreements. Has there been one that stands out above the rest of them between you two this year, whether it be a lineup move or a certain player you want to go after? What's been the biggest disagreement so far?
So every week he pitches at least one or two guys on the waivers that we could pick up, and I feel like every single time he does it, the guy puts up at least 18 points. I've gotten a few texts like come on, are we serious? And I'm usually the one that shoots it down. But was it Wandale? Wandale's probably the...
Yeah, Wandale's the big one. Wandale had a big week 1, and I was like, we should keep an eye on this guy. And he had a pretty, respectable week 2. And when Trent picked him up, I was like, shit. And he's put up double digits the last 3 or 4 weeks. But I mean, I aside from Wandale, I feel like all the decisions have been pretty solid. Like we haven't had a single 180 with each other. I feel like we've been able to come to an agreement pretty easily, which given our history is a pretty crazy thing because we don't agree on a whole lot. So it's worked out well, I think.
Well, we really don't have a lot of decisions to make. It's mostly just that running back who we end up going with. But when we're healthy, our lineup's pretty easy to set.
That's fair. So as the midpoint of the season comes around, we can start I almost want to say we can start to see who's going to be a playoff team, who's not, but there's still just so many teams that are in it. Who is it that you guys want to see singing karaoke at the end of the year the most?
Oh, I want to see Yost singing karaoke. He's shaking in his little Brody booth. He's so not looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I've contemplated tanking just to see it happen. But no, other than him and I, probably, I mean, I'd love to see Craig do karaoke.
Yeah, I was about to say, I love the guy. I love the guy to death, but I think him up on a karaoke stage might be just about the best thing on earth.
So much would have to go wrong.
Oh, so much. Hey, the injury bug, you never know when it's going to bite. And
that's true.
It could happen for him. So, big game this week against Hayden. You guys are coming off your first game of the week victory this year and being in the league. Is there anything you want to say to Hayden this week going into your matchup? As Brody grins ear to ear.
I'll let you have the floor on this one.
No, good luck. It's going to be a great game.
No, fuck you.
No, it's, it's a must win. I feel like we're kind of getting into that territory. It's a must win. So, fuck you, buddy.
We don't need it.
Awesome. Well, guys, really appreciate the time joining us this week. Good luck this week against Hayden, and we will be catching up again later this season, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Week 7 is our third week of divisional games so far this year. So after this week, everyone will have played everybody in their division at least once, with one more game against each team remaining. But let's take a look at some of the great matchups that we got this week.
In our game of the week for this third division week of the season, Tamara takes on EJ in what should be a great one.
Let's get ready to rumble!
She currently sits one game ahead of EJ in the Fantastic Four and one game behind Craig for a share of the division lead. In the other Fantastic Four game, Jordan will look to get his first ever win over Craig, who currently sits atop of the entire league, not just his division. In the Suicide Squad, we have Brody and Jake looking to stay hot against Hayden. This is a matchup both Brody and Hayden have been looking forward to since Hayden knocked Brody out of the playoffs in his own league last year. The other Suicide Squad game features Jared, boasting a 3-game win streak, taking on Tyler, who is looking to avoid a 4th low scorer of the week this year. Ironically, Tyler is 2-0 in the first 2 division games. Can he actually sweep the first round of division games? In the Avengers division, Dan looks to get his first ever win over Josh, while Josh looks to right the ship and get back to his winning ways. The recent trade of Davante Adams to the Jets could prove to be huge for Josh, as Adams is now reunited with Aaron Rodgers. And in the final matchup of the week, we see the division leader Travis taking on Trent, who is last place in the division. Trent's decision to keep playing Watson is mind-boggling, as he has assaulted Trent's lineup more times than he's been to a massage parlor. That does it for this week's matchups. Back to you in the studio.
So we got some great matchups this week. Good luck to everyone except Jared. We'll see who's going to win that $50 for the mid-season champ, and we'll talk again next week and see how week 7 played out.